is the Right Guys podcast, where we're hoping Joe Biden keeps running in the race. And now your hosts, Josh Hammerling, Max McGuire, and a special guest, Madyson Marquette.
Welcome back, Right Guy podcast. Happy Wednesday. Happy almost 4th of July. My name is Max McGuire, here with Mr. Producer Josh Hammerling and our special guest, Miss Madyson Marquette.
Woo!
Welcome back.
Wednesday, y'all.
Thank you. Can you come on my show and do that? Just
Yeah.
so people are like, think I'm important.
Yeah, I'm for hire. That's all I'm saying.
Last week was hectic. I was out of town. I was on the beach.
Wait, what did you just say?
Last week was hectic.
Okay, I thought you said something.
I was on the beach, couldn't get on the show, but I was able to watch the debate. And the first person I texted when I got cell service was Madyson. And I think Madyson, I think I just texted you, Biden is toast.
Yeah.
Biden's toast.
And
then we started talking about and I said, Biden's cooked. Biden is cooked. Yeah. And I said, someone roofied his pill container.
I don't think they need to roofie him. He's just like so far gone that they don't even need to roofie him at this point. It was a shit show, to say the least. I mean, Max and I were texting each other back and forth, and I was actually tweeting about it because I'm like, listen, let me get my popcorn and like watch this because this is like crazy. Which I'm gonna bring this up because I was just talking to producer Josh and Max about this. I was like, why? And they can explain it. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm like, why the heck are these two grown men that are like supposed to be talking about our country arguing about golf? I don't give a crap. I don't care. I don't like. Listen, I was a cart girl at Monarch Beach in California at 18 years old. I was like so young, making all this money, right, as a cart girl. So to me, I'm like, I don't understand. It just, to me, golfers are like a bunch of people that get drunk and that's it. So, but y'all explained it better.
Well, we can play the clip in case anyone's been hiding under a rock for the last week. Here we go.
Be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
What's that got to do with
What's
it?
the biggest lie that he's a 6 handicap of all?
I was at 8 handicap. 8.
Never.
But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Yeah,
Hey, let's
you know,
not
act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21.
turn.
It's just like
So
Listen, Daddy T's though, when he gets at him, it cracks me up.
the funniest thing was, out of everything, what nearly knocked Trump off the stage was Joe Biden saying he's a 6 handicap. A 6 handicap, Madyson, basically means that Joe Biden could show up for a PGA Tour qualifying event and like he'd have a chance. Like
Right?
I would love to see that actually.
He'd be outperforming Tiger,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Tiger couldn't hold it. Like,
The majority of top professional golfers have handicaps that are +4 to +6. So like, this is basically, it's the equivalent of Joe Biden getting on stage and saying, I could lace it up for the Yankees and throw 100-mile-an-hour fastball right now. Like, I could be their starting pitcher. It's just obviously bullshit.
Well, and think about it. Trump's probably watching video of Biden swinging too. Like, he's got to know it because he's a businessman, right? The golf swing is everything when you're on the links. I mean, that's how you do business. You try to play to the person you're with's level, and he knows if he got out there, Joe Biden would stare at the ball. People that know, right?
Golfing's hard. Like, I've gone golfing because when I was a tech recruiter, you know, you would go to the golfing, you know, whatever, and I would pretend that I knew what I was doing. I didn't, right? And so it's like, it is hard to play it. So to me, thinking Biden golfing, I'm like, all I can imagine is him like swinging and then like falling over or like trying to like hit the ball and then I don't know. And just there's a million
Secret
things
Service is picking his butt up, right? It would just be
Here he is.
Yeah.
Here he is in a little bit of trouble behind a rock wall. This is Joe Biden. Let's see where the ball goes. Here comes the swing. Oh, ball went backwards. You see it?
Oh,
Did you miss it?
Was that mini golf?
No, this is him golfing.
Oh,
This is Joe Biden on the course.
Yeah.
Oh, now it just cut out.
Yeah, he's so good. I mean, I would have chipped out of there a little higher on something like
Here
that.
we go.
Why doesn't the internet work right when you need it to? I blame government.
I don't know.
It's big tech.
Basically, I'll try and download it. He hit the ball, and it went backwards.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So yeah, when you watch it, I laughed my ass off. I was like, that sums up the whole presidency, right? Joe Biden shooting backwards.
Here we go. Here it is.
Too much. There it is. Oh, it's a good one. Oh, that one's a little...
He's like, look, where'd it go? That's not a 6 handicap. That's not a 6 handicap.
Nope. Doesn't even fade the Secret Service guy. He's like, yeah, he's been there all day.
Doesn't even phase him. So that's why guys have these kind of like shoot the shit kind of like you ever see like Napoleon Dynamite? Uncle Rico's like, I could throw this pigskin quarter mile. Like, no, you can't. I can throw a half mile. It's a lot of that. So it's funny to see it on the biggest stage. But the real joke is that Joe Biden says that he could basically be a PGA golfer.
That's hilarious.
When
the big joke is actually that Joe Biden is pretending to be our president.
Yes,
the real joke.
It is. It is one of the bigger jokes. And
but it's not funny. I mean, it's like
it's
bad news.
It's really bad news. But what's also scary is who's calling the shots. Who is the one calling the shots? And if you look at today, they put out the release of his schedule today. He has a very busy schedule today. Meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting. And in every single one of these meetings is Kamala Harris. She is waiting in the wings. She is ready to go, ready to go. I don't think my heart could handle this.
Poor hubby. Poor hubby.
No.
Yes, this is a 4-minute video clip of just her cackling. This is what hell. This is one of the circles of hell.
Yeah.
That's one of the circles of hell. Yeah,
literally like a demon. You know, people don't know this about, maybe they do, but when she was a lawyer, right, and she was pushing before she was in the White House, she was pushing for prostitution to be legal.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, why would she push for this? Which opens, I mean, listen, porn is legal in a sense, right? And it's kind of, that's a sense of like prostitution, but then it's like, okay, and I know Vegas has like legal prostitution
in like outside of Vegas. You gotta go to like the Bunny Ranch. In Vegas, it's still technically illegal, but they just let it ride.
Right, and they don't like get crazy with it because it's Vegas. But still, I'm like, you're pushing something where that's just harmful. Like, so you're gonna push for if you have a daughter or your son's like, oh yeah, hey, you know what? Why don't you grow up to be a prostitute? That's a great career choice. It's legal. Like, go spread your legs.
Could you imagine? Career day?
Yeah.
Could you imagine career day?
Right.
Someone just steps in like, oh yes, this is my mom. Share what you do with the class. But no,
like how you start that one.
She was all about that. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say she just sucked her way to the top anyway. I mean, that's what she did. So
yeah,
they call him Joe in the Hoe.
Wow.
I saw so many of those flags. I was at in Port Aransas in Texas, and lots of flags. Joe in the Hoe have got to go. All on like the golf carts. Yeah, there's a lot of really colorful flags. But yeah, no,
people,
they are saying that they're saying that she is in the wings waiting to go. They are now actively polling. They're actively polling on what they should do because it's that bad. This is a poll that just leaked from one of the super PACs aligned with Biden. And I'll see if I can make it bigger to make it you be able to see it. This is the polling they did pre-debate and after debate. Now, right now, if based on this polling, if Donald Trump, if the election were held today, the inside Democrat poll says Trump would win North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, and Pennsylvania, and he'd be president. And he wouldn't have to worry about any of these other things. That's the cutoff. But according to the poll, It gets much worse because he's also leading in Michigan. He's also leading in Nebraska, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, leading in Virginia, leading in New Mexico, and tied in Minnesota and Maine, knocking on the door for Colorado as well. A stunning flip. And this leaked out. This was internally. We were never supposed to see this. So according to these numbers, if the election were held today, this is what the map would look like.
Shazam.
If those polls were the results today. So this is why they're freaking out, because we're not talking about, oh, it's coming down to 1 or 2 states. We're talking about a blowout. As big of a blowout as you can get, as long as California has 55 delegates, right? I mean, the way the map is, you're never going to see a Ronald Reagan blowout again. But this is as big, as close to a blowout as you can get. And that's why they're freaking out.
But 2020 was a blowout too, and then they stole it.
Yes,
So,
yes.
which they've stolen, it's selected, not elected at this point. But, you know, and I have a hard, like, I don't know if they would really push Kamala. I think they're going to push Michael Obama, also known as Michelle Obama. And so, because she presents himself, I'm not calling her effort because she's a boy with a dick in a dress, but it's, oh, I'm sorry. Are you on YouTube? I got to be careful.
We are.
Is this
We
on
were.
YouTube?
Well,
We
there
were.
it goes.
We were.
Right,
were.
We're on YouTube just because a few people, a few of our followers
Yeah.
like watch us on YouTube. We don't have a big following on YouTube. So I guess
But
we can use
anyway,
it.
I think that they would push that, right? And then listen, they're pushing this gay agenda, right? Think about this. If he came out and said, I'm this, then they could push for the gay vote. And
Yeah.
then particularly cheat if they said, hey, I don't know if they would do that, but it's a play that they could do. Want to put it past them.
This is the real
Yeah.
clear politics average. You have to go. There's
Right.
only one poll on the current average list where Joe Biden is winning. And that's the INI TIPP poll. Data for Progress, which I talked about on the last episode. That's a plus Democrat poll. That's a Democrat think tank. They have Trump winning by 3. CNN has Trump up by 6. New York Times has Trump up by 6. These are not Republican pollsters. These are far left pollsters for the first time being honest. And I'll see if I can pull it up. They're running polls on other candidates, on who could replace them.
Do either of you feel like it was part of a plan? Because here's the thing. They wanted to move that debate up to a point where it was going to hit early, especially before the conventions, right? So maybe that was a litmus test on their side, because they know they've got to make a move, right? They're just not going to drop a guy who's all of a sudden as sharp as attacked 2 months ago, who completely flounders on a debate. Maybe they anticipated that flounder because they knew his condition. And this was the gateway to try to get him out, right? Because this is how the party saves face. So I don't know. I like the poll numbers are good in Trump's favor, but they're planning on rolling somebody out, somebody that they've internally polled, right? And who that's going to be, because I think there's too much of a plan behind this one. And that's where I sit with that.
What Biden were you watching 2 months ago? Because the Biden I watched 2 months ago could not hold a sentence.
I agree.
So-
He was never there. He was never there,
Yeah.
right? But what if that was their plan? They had to show him early for what he is, right? A completely bumbling fool. And they had to do that in that early debate because they know they had to change the candidate. So how do you save face? You put him on TV, you let the world see how awful he is. Everybody can agree to get rid of him, and boom, you got a Kamala Harris. You know, maybe this plan isn't as new as we think it is.
See, I think it's like you think so much into it, right? But they're going to have to do something because they're going to have to cheat. And I've said this before, and I know like one of these days I'm going to pull Max and his wife and you, producer Josh, out of the system. But I'm going to say it again. We're voting for a corporation. America, we're celebrating the 4th of July tomorrow, 1776, and we fought our independence from Britain. Yet when Abraham Lincoln, again, I'm going to say this again, became president, he freed the black slaves and then enslaved the rest of us. The bar attorney BAR stands for British Accreditation Registry Agent. Any politician that is a lawyer, their allegiance is to the crown. So Camilla, where's her allegiance? It's to the crown. Anyone that comes in as a politician's allegiance is to the crown. The king or queen or whoever the F it would be at that point in time is who their allegiance is to. And so it's like America really needs to really wake up, because we're not fighting right now for a republic. We're literally watching these two people. And listen, I love Trump, okay? I love what he's done with the survivor-led task force and the anti-trafficking. I think the guy's brilliant. I think that he ran America brilliantly because he's a brilliant businessman. And America is a business. It's a corporation, the United States corporation. That's what they put it in. But America was founded and our forefathers fought for a republic. We should really be fighting for that republic, not for like, okay, who are they going to put in place? So we're just going to be their puppets, and like the puppets in their puppet, and they're the puppet master, and we're just going to continue to do this. When is America going to really actually, like, it's going to click? The light bulb's going to click and say, wait, this is ridiculous. We're watching a show. And I hate when people say that, because it's not a show, right? But it is. It's a freaking show.
It's a show. It's a show.
It is. And it's like, we're just their like puppet people. Like, people are enslaved. You know what I mean? We have the court systems that are trafficking in persons Part B. Like, it's such a big problem. It's like, where people don't understand, like, what are we really celebrating tomorrow when we're not even free from Britain right now? We're still enslaved, because that's the way that Abraham Lincoln said that. But people don't want to go research history and research really back where like everything kind of falls under. You know, there's only one, I think I said this to you guys before, there's only one Article 3 court, which is what in America, and that's it. Like, that's crazy. So we have Kamala, who's a lawyer. Maybe she becomes the VP, or the other ones who might be in the running.
Here are the other ones. Right? Here are the other ones.
Who we got?
Yeah,
all still losing to Trump.
Buttigieg, Newsom,
and
Whitmer.
All common
Harris.
leaders. Every single one of them.
All like, still losing to Trump. All still net negatives. The only one, and I can't find the picture of it. The only one who they're polling is Big Mike Obama. Michelle Obama would beat Trump. That's the only, according to the polls. And I don't doubt that. I think there's a lot of people who would rush out to the polls to vote for her, because that's just what they're into.
I think the young generation will, the ones that are 18, 19, that have come from the schools, the indoctrination camps known as schools, right? That have taught them, and then they are like, oh, so if Michelle said, oh, I'm actually Michael Obama, they would be so quick to go vote for her. Him, whatever.
It's probably poll better.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden this is kind of a historic moment, right? I mean, we've never seen this shake out before. It's another Biden first, right? How many of those have we had this year?
I'm shocked that the media is out for blood. I expected them to want to cover it up. They don't seem in lockstep. For the first time in a long time, they're not in lockstep with the Democrat National Committee and with the Biden administration. Like, here's one question that KJP, White House press secretary, was asked yesterday. Notice she's asked, did Joe Biden get a neurological scan after the debate? Which is a very specific question, which makes it sound like someone in the room knows that he went to the hospital after the debate because they were that worried he had a stroke or something. This is her response. She doesn't say no.
The debate, did the president get examined by a doctor, or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night. And the president has spoken to this.
Didn't say no.
No, she didn't.
Didn't say no.
I mean, that'd be some insider stuff there, right? Like,
yeah.
Did they give him a little too much juice?
It almost seemed like she was about to say, "How did you find out about that?"
Yeah,
it felt like that was where she was going to go. And then today, she got hit with this little ad lib, which made me chuckle.
Invite the president to come here and tell us that directly.
Noted, Kelly.
But he's awake.
That's inappropriate.
Oh,
as you heard from your colleague, the president of the WHA, that's inappropriate. Thank you, Kelly.
That's inappropriate.
We would love for him to come talk to us today. Yeah. If he's awake.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden because obviously he's a 3DO because we're on certain. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Right. So, but this is like this is elder abuse on like another level, and we're watching it unfold in front of our eyes, like completely. You're having him like, who's pulling the strings at this point? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
well,
crazy.
what they need to do, what the Republicans need to do is, at this point, the polls are so shifting towards Trump. He would beat Joe Biden in a landslide because everyone who watched that debate has seen someone else in their life. When watching Joe Biden, they were reminded of someone else in their life, whether it be a family member or a friend, an acquaintance who with age just lost a step or two, right? And we've all experienced that. We've all seen it's part of aging. It's part of getting old. It's part of reaching the twilight of your life. People saw that and they recognized that they wouldn't trust Joe Biden in any job in this country. Like he wouldn't even get a job as a Walmart greeter because now they're checking your receipts. They're actually stopping shoplifting.
Well, come on. I'd be like, F off. You check me out or not checking my receipts.
Hey. Can I draw a comparison real quick?
Sure.
So what's the difference between the doctor who was giving Michael Jackson drugs to sleep different than the doctor who's giving Joe Biden drugs to stay awake? Right? Because if either of those go up, right, and you increase those dosages, the doctor who gives that could therefore be open to liability. And what if that person is the doctor directly responsible for the president of the United States, right? Yeah. And they knowingly gave him these doses before a talk, and it ends up causing him harm. Think about that.
You know, and I think about that, I think, listen, if that were the case, I would hope that that's where the Nuremberg trials 2.0 come in because of everything that has happened with the jab and COVID and everything else, where it's like, okay, if you're going to hurt the president and you're going to do this and you're giving him these drugs, right, then here we go, Nuremberg trials again. But I think America's too much of a coward right now to do that. And the people are like not rising up because they have people saying, hold the line or whatever. And I'm not saying go out and shoot people. I'm not saying, I think there's ways to protest and just say no peacefully. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, who would say that if someone's poisoning the president, who's the person that says, okay, they're poisoning the president and then who holds them liable? This is the president of the free world, supposedly, and who holds that doctor liable? Wouldn't it be the American people? Wouldn't it be our duty? Imagine if they were doing this to Trump, and people all love Trump.
Yeah, it's very interesting because that dude went to jail and lost his doctor's license, right? And technically, the person who's medicating him should know better than to give him those kind of drugs, right? I mean, if a doctor was sticking to his Hippocratic oath, wouldn't they say, do no harm? I cannot give him any more of the go juice, whatever that is. I'm just using a made-up name, right? But whoever gave him the go juice, if something, did it cause harm to the president? That's essentially the question that's coming up here, right? Did they worry that something happened, and what was the cause of it? And was it due to go juice? Like, there's so much going on in this debate that
there was a really funny video. I was seeing if I could find it. It was on TikTok of someone doing like a little skit where they give the intern the pat on the back. Thanks for getting Joe Biden ready for the debate. You get him all the things he needs. Yeah, I handed him a Coke. And I'm like, wait, you handed him a Coke? Yeah, I handed him a Coke. Or like, basically saying you should have given him cocaine, like that, pretending that was the mix-up behind the scenes. No, I mean, listen, we're talking about. We always like to on the show, and I know you do, Madyson. When we talk about this, like we're going to need to take the country back. We always say we got to do it peacefully. We got to exhaust every peaceable option before we even consider getting kinetic, as it were. This is, I don't know if you saw this. This is Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation. He went on the War Room yesterday and he said something very similar. And they're, but they're still having the show. He said something very similar on the show and he's getting crucified for it. Let me play it.
Has taken over our institutions. The reason that they are apoplectic right now, the reason that so many anchors on MSNBC, for example, are losing their minds daily is because our side is winning. And so I come full circle in this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Now that is pretty as straightforward as it gets. We're in the middle of a bloodless revolution, and it will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. Now, the liberals, Democrats, are saying that was a threat, that he was threatening everyone, that we'll shoot you. I interpreted that as the opposite.
How
like,
is
we're going to be peaceful.
It's bloodless.
Yeah, as long as the left allows it to be. That seems pretty straightforward.
Right. Listen, I feel like America mostly got really scared when January 6th happened, right? But I think what people really need to understand is DC is its own territory. It's in its own country. So you can't go do things in DC that you're going to do across America under our Constitution and peacefully protest under our First Amendment right. So you got played in DC because you were in their elitist rules and didn't realize it, right? So then people don't want to go protest and peacefully. But think about if people were to peacefully protest these polls and say, listen, we're not going to vote because this is not a fair and free election and 2020 still hasn't been taken care of. And frankly, we're voting in a corporation, or protesting these courts that are making profit off of trafficking in persons, Part B, or stop paying taxes. I mean, listen, the Boston Tea Party, they threw out the tea because they didn't want the tax and just everyone stopped paying taxes. There are a lot of things that the people can do. But what I always hear is, well, what if they do this, this, and this? We were talking about this earlier about mind control. They have mind controlled the American people into fear of standing up against this regime that has come to America. And that is where America's at. They're fearful. They're fearful to just say no. I mean, I don't know. I mean, whether this story is true in history or not, I take it to be true. But Rosa Parks said, no, F you, I'm going to sit at the front of the bus. Why can't all of the Americans come together regardless of who you decide to put your genitals in and what color you are? But you know what I mean? They want us to fight over.
That should be the bottom. That should be the bottom of the list of everything everyone cares about, right?
That's what I'm saying, right? Like
we've got illegal aliens running around the country, raping and killing people. Yeah. This is the most expensive year ever to have a barbecue on 4th of July. You talk about the Tea Party. That was over a couple of pence tax on tea, which back then was a lot, sure, 3%. But if the founders saw how expensive everything was now, and they saw how government policy was the driving reason behind it, they would have revolted long time ago, years ago.
Yeah, that's exactly it. What's the saying? I prefer oh gosh, what is the saying? It's something over like instead of tyranny, it's
I prefer one tyrant 1,000 miles away than 1,000 tyrants 1 mile away.
No,
that was something that was one of the worries during the revolution.
I mean, this is the point though. This is way past a war, right? There's no civil war that's happened. This is going to be a revolution, and this is where when I am talking about what's happening in America is this has to be a revolution. This has to be, and I agree, it can be peaceful, right? There are a lot of things you can do, but a civil war is exactly what the left wants. They want us to go out and shoot guns and stab people and do all this crazy stuff. It's like, no, we're not back like at that point. But listen, taking out DC would probably like solve a lot of our problems. And frankly, if the government continues to screw people over and they start to get hungry, and I mean like hungry, really hungry, like food and different things because they can't afford it, guess what? People that are desperate do desperate things, unfortunately, is what it is.
I'm reminded in 1794, there was a whiskey rebellion, people rebelling in the United States against excise taxes on whiskey. And George Washington actually led troops to put down the rebellion. American soldiers were fired upon. It was a very heated, very hot protest. And so I look at that, and they were well within their reason to protest these taxes. It was going to put them out of business, put their families in the poorhouse. I look though, and this is where I have to go to you, Madyson. our resident woman expert, because I need someone to explain to me where is it. Here it is. This is the polling. This is old polling, but it's Joe Biden continues to have support among women in the United States. Let me see if I can find the more recent poll. What's going on? Because we're seeing every demographic, every age group, every race, ethnicity since this debate skewing away from Joe Biden. But it seems that women in this country are putting their feet down saying, Joe's our man. If Joe can't do it, no one can.
Listen, I don't believe that that's a real poll. There's no way, because even women that I have talked to, right? Because friends of mine that are liberals and got the jab and whatever, they voted for Biden in 2020, right? And then we have these conversations because we're adults and we don't call each other names and we can have these conversations, right? And they're women. And they're like, listen, we just really didn't like Trump, so we voted for Biden. But now, you know what they tell me? They say, I don't know if people have seen this show, but they're like, I feel like what's happening with Joe Biden and everything is, and the left, is that they're pushing us towards The Handmaid's Tale. Have you guys ever seen that on Hulu? Yeah. It's literally a show about where they suspend the Constitution, and then the people that can't have babies have handmaids, and then the men like rape the women, and then they have the babies and they take the babies from the women, and that's like what it is. They suspend the Constitution and people are fleeing to Canada because that's like the, you know, safe space at the time. And then I think Kauai is like one of the other ones. So I highly doubt that that is a true poll. Now, I believe it if it were for like 18, 19-year-olds, because when I look and see that demographic of people that can just vote and their parents are like hardcore liberals, those kids are like, oh yeah, I'm going to go vote for Biden, but they have no idea what the politics stands for or how it's going to affect them in their everyday life. They think it's cool to go vote for this because that's what's trendy, because they censor anything that's on the right? They censor anything that's conservative, anything that's like pro-family, pro-life, anything like godly, they censor it. And so, of course, again, that goes back to the whole mind control thing, is they see it repetitively on Facebook. Well, I guess Facebook is now old for old people, I hear. So it's for like TikTok and Instagram and that kind of thing.
This is the new poll. That was older. Biden has slipped since the debate. And now among women, Biden only has 44% to Trump's 47%. But it flips back if Kamala Harris is at the top of the ticket.
I can tell you though, right now, I think that women, when it comes to Trump, and here's the problem, is they watch the alternative conservative media, right? The Patriot media, which I call Project Mockingbird. And they push this so-called plan, right? That the white hats were going to come to save them and everything else, right? They pushed this narrative in 2020 till now, and nothing has happened. And so those women are like, what the heck? We thought that Trump was going to come in and do all of this stuff when Trump never said that, right? It was like the Q following and everything else. They said, we're going to go follow this. And so they followed all of these liars, right? And so now they're pissed off at Trump, when really, in reality, this wasn't Trump that said he was going to go do this. Yes, Trump did say things like, we have them all and everything else. Even when he was going through his trial, he called them the kangaroo courts, is what because they're not Article 3 courts. And so I think people are getting frustrated because they think that there's some alternative fake plan, when back when President Trump was the president, he gave the power back to we the people in certain executive orders. But no one wants to go look those up and look at those executive orders and go read what those are, that gave us the power back to we the people, where we can say no and we can hold these government officials liable. I mean, President Trump put it with the Department of Justice criminal complaints to where we the people can go file AO 91 criminal complaints against like President Joe Biden, anyone that's a politician, anyone that's a judge, like anyone that's in these government seats that are not withholding their oath of office, which should be the Constitution, that we can go file these complaints yet again. So I think the women are getting frustrated because they listen to these stupid men like Scott McKay and Michael Jago and whatever, that have no clue, that got rich. I mean, stinkingly freaking rich in like 3.5 years off of scamming these people. I mean, there was millions of dollars and no one knew who they were prior. And they got rich by telling them that Trump was going to come in and that he was going to save America, when in reality, Trump gave the power back to we the people for us to save. And that's what I think the problem is with the women vote right now. I think that they feel like they don't have a leader at all because they listen to that alternative media that were lying. That's my opinion in that particular space, because I followed it for a long time. And I see, and I'm sure you do too, Max, because we have some same followers, like a lot of the same followers, but you'll see them post like, well, Trump's not going to do this or Trump's not going to do that. And like, I like when people debate on my channel, especially if they're being respectful. And there are women, mostly women, that aren't. They're like, listen, Trump lied to us and we don't want him as our president. Frankly, I love Trump, but I think that we need someone, if he's not going to come in and say, if he gets elected and he doesn't tell America that we need to stand on a republic and give us back and give us an election that is for the republic, then frankly, did he sell out is my question.
Yeah, I mean, the issue of before we even get to that, like, I think that a lot of women are waking up, and I think that the tired Democrat talking point that a female voter is nothing but a reproductive system with legs, and that's the only thing that they care about. I think people are starting to wake up that that's not the number one issue. People can't afford to put food on the table. I get sticker shock every time I go to the grocery store. Same. Every time. And literally have started saying, well, if we're going to get that, maybe we shouldn't get that. The attempt to pigeonhole people into this, and the Democrats have been very good at doing this. They've created this coalition that the coalition, if everyone got in the same room without the DNC involved, they'd all hate each other, right? This is a coalition that says we are going to get the Jewish vote and the Muslim vote. Good luck with that. Like, put them in the same room and see what happens, right? The black vote and the Hispanic vote. Probably not going to be a friendly conversation in a lot of areas, especially with what Trump said. Absolutely correct, is that illegal aliens are taking many black jobs. That's not a slur. That's not something bad. Black job is just the antonym for black unemployment, right? We talk about black unemployment all the time. What's black unemployment? Black people losing their jobs. What's a black job? That's black people holding jobs, black employment. People are waking up and they realize that they can't just be typecast into only caring about one or two issues. And that's what the Democrat Party has always tried to do. So, okay, you'll vote for me because of this. You'll vote for me because of this. You'll vote for me because of this. And they expect that coalition to hold. And the minute you start seeing different parts of the coalition fighting with each other, like Jews and Muslims especially, it kind of reveals just how haphazardly put together the whole thing is. And I can't get over. I mean, we're talking about, what is Biden going to drop out? We're getting news from Michelle Obama's camp that her, quote, soul is not in it, end quote. So she's saying she won't run. Kamala Harris is at least giving lip service, saying that she stands behind Joe, though the press secretary did accidentally call her President Harris today.
Freudian slip.
Freudian slips. But at a time when they're like, you have to vote for the Democrat to save democracy. That's what we save democracy. We're not democracy. We're a republic, or we're at the very least a representative democracy. We're not just a lowercase d or capital D democracy. In a election cycle, we're like, vote for us. We're saving democracy. The number one story in the news cycle is, how do we push aside the vote of the people and just slip in someone else, right? How can you defend democracy if they're talking about putting someone on the ticket who didn't get a single vote?
The only way to do that, Max, is to get rid of this election and say, we are going to vote for the Republic. And then they push the election, and then they remove Biden. It's funny.
They're not going to push the election.
I get the Colorado
they're not going to push it.
News, and it just says Biden's terrorist joined campaign call to stress staying on ticket, which I don't know. The more that they push that he's staying on the ticket, the more I think that they're going to either kill him off, something's going to happen, he's going to have a heart attack. Like, not like it's gonna look natural, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he died of natural causes or whatever. They're gonna give him a booster or something's gonna happen that he's gonna.
They're going to give him a shot. They're going to give him a shot, and they're not going to completely get all the air out of it. There'll be one air bubble in the syringe. They'll put it into his vein. He'll have a pulmonary embolism, and he'll die. And that'll be it.
Yeah.
Great, Max. Now if that happens, they're going to come arrest you because they're going to be like,
hey guys, he probably has some sort of pick line already in him. Like he's got lots of needle marks. This was why you'll never see his arms, right? But here's something that
also why Hunter Biden's in all the meetings now.
So this is like Josh. The first time I've seen the media starting to fracture since probably Clinton 92. You know, that really leading up to Clinton, you saw the media start circling the wagons, and it was this consistent verbatim message, like the stuff we talked about, right? They'd always have these keywords like gravitas, and they start talking about these single one issue things at the media, along with the Democratic Party, and you see their growth over the years, which leads to this moment where even the media can't cover for what that fascist agenda is doing, right? They can't keep up with it anymore, and it's starting to fold. Yeah. So the question is Kamala Harris just going to be that throwaway candidate because they already know they're losing? Might as well put up the weakest candidate they can possibly put up now. They don't care if they lose; it just puts them off for 4 years, right? There's just another 4 years before it's R versus D again, right? And that's the crazy. This is going to be one of the shortest presidencies for whoever wins, because it's 4 years is a blink of an eye with what needs to happen, right? So maybe they're just throwing in, like, they're folding the hand, right? I think what we're going to see is a folding of the hand as they move forward. They're going to pick probably the weakest candidate because they've got to fit the best candidates in their best pockets as they take the war forward. And
Biden's team is saying if they change, this is something that came out yesterday, if they change, the $200+ million they have in the bank will not go to the new candidate.
Holy crap.
That is the threat coming from the Biden campaign.
Well,
she's going to keep it. Wow.
That's a serious threat.
Everything you'd get arrested for, they do. Money laundering and everything else.
So if he drops out of the race, what they would be able to legally do is they could give it all to a charity.
Yep.
Or they could transition his campaign to like a nonprofit itself or a 501c4, like a PAC, and then they could just do whatever they want with it for the PAC. It's a pretty significant threat.
I'm now Democrat, Madyson Marquette charity. 200, whatever.
Wow. But that's happening, right? That's happening. David Hogg, he is a gun control advocate. He was one of the kids at the shoot involved in one of the victims involved in a shooting in Florida. He has a PAC and he pays himself a cool $13,000 a month.
Just wow.
About gun control.
Wow. That's great money if you can get it.
Yeah, seriously. I'm in the wrong business. I'm going to be a pastor or a politician. I'd be raking in the bucks, man. To go back to what Josh said on the lamestream media, the one thing I've noticed too is that people are getting restless. And I think that if some type of revolution or war were to go out, say purge type things, who are they going to go for, right? They're going to go for the media, different people. And so I think that there's a lot of saving face right now with the media, and they have to kind of push, because I haven't, like what you said, I haven't seen them, they're not attacking Trump as much as they were. They're kind of twisting it to where it's kind of pro-Trump, but they're not attacking him like they were before. So I think that there is something to be said with that too. And I don't think they do anything by accident. There was a movie that just came out, Civil War, right? Mm-hmm. And I actually watched it because I was like, I want to see what they're doing. And at the end,
any good?
No, not really.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. I'm not going to watch it. So.
Okay, I won't listen. It just basically shows how cowardly the president is, right? Towards the end, and it's more about reporters anyway that are reporting on on it. And to me, it's funny that this movie was like mainly about reporters, and like no one hurt the reporters in this war. So I'm like, are you guys going to push a civil war? Because listen, if the left wants to push a civil war, look, if we learned anything about Antifa and BLM back in 2020, they can push a civil war and they'll do it. And they'll blame it on whoever they want to blame it on, you know? So that's where when Josh said that's what it made me think of, I'm like, well, you know, there is a big possibility that they're trying to save face too. Because if something like that does happen, then, well, you know, if you saw a reporter and a civil war was happening and you had to choose between shooting them and someone else, who are they going to go for?
Is it also possible that Joe Biden was just so bad, it's unspinnable? Like, is it? I've seen some of the videos. I've seen some of the videos of them trying to spin it, and everyone on the panel after the debate was just laughing at them. Like one of the guys on CNN was like, "That wasn't that bad," and the other guy's like, "What are you talking about? That was terrible." It is possible that was just so bad, so obviously he's so obviously demented, which is the root word for dementia. He's so obviously demented and incapable of the job that even the most ardent partisans can't spin it. It's unspinnable. You can't spin that into a success. The guy celebrated that he, quote, beat Medicare, end quote. That means nothing. That means absolutely nothing.
He's like a black hole. Like he's just sucking in the whole political world around him, right? And they're all trying to get away from the orbit of Joe Biden all of a sudden.
Listen, the only thing that he really did during his presidency that I was not in agreement with, but this is the only thing that he did, was he canceled Dr. Seuss. And that was about it. And then that's it. What else did he do? Like that was like his big thing. Like you canceled someone that rhymed. Like that's it. You know, he didn't really do anything.
This is from a CNN article trying to actually spin it a little bit. It says a difficult task. Quote, like all past presidents, Biden has good days and bad days. It can be tricky to report on something as difficult to define as a person aging when his opponent is a convicted felon who regularly lies and has threatened to use the government to go after his political opponents. See, there's still some who can't get over the spin cycle. There's still some trying to spin it.
So kudos to this person. This is some of the best like creative writing I've seen in a long time. So somebody could probably write a thesis for college on all of these headlines, right?
Seriously. I prefer the felon over the P3DO. I'm not saying it because he'll get kicked off YouTube.
No, it just reminds me of Star Wars. Yeah. No. Did you see what they're trying to do today to Trump? So they released some documents from Jeffrey Epstein, and they released 2 pages of his little like messages notebook by his phone. People would answer the phone, say, "Okay, who's calling? Okay, he'll call you back," and they'd write on this little message that this person called. Donald Trump. They have 2 screenshots of the message book where Donald Trump had called, and they're trying to make that out to be Donald Trump was trying to traffic kids, when in reality they actually did the deep dive into it. The 2 were fighting over a property, over who was going to buy it at an estate auction, Trump was calling him over that.
I'm gonna mute myself because someone's ringing my doorbell.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it. Trump, but they're trying to make this all about that Trump. Here we go. Newtown. Here we go. There. So Donald Trump called at 5:18 p.m. Doesn't say anything it's about. Doesn't give any explanation for what's going on. But they're trying to say, oh, see, this is proof. Donald Trump was a pedophile.
Donald Trump would call anybody if he was fighting over a piece of property. This is a businessman who he clearly didn't like the guy. And this could be the reason he found out he didn't like the guy, right? Because nobody knows the actual context of this as it went backwards. And it's crazy, but they're so desperate, Max. They're willing to try to throw the Epstein pedophile muck at him, right? They're slinging everything. They have gone so far into the bag of dirty slinging tricks. I have not seen anything like this before. You know, and they're arm deep, right? They're up to the armpit. They're digging so deep on this.
It's pretty shameful, though, and it's actually getting worse than this. This says important message, right? That's just, it's a message book. It's like, oh, who called, wants to see you, whatever. The left now has taken this, and they've taken the word message, and they said that Donald Trump was calling about a massage, which is wildly insane. Wildly insane, because not only does it say message and not massage, very clearly for everyone who can read, but that's not what this was about at all. I'm gonna see if I can find the actual article that did the deep dive.
They would even make that jump. Have you ever been into a fight with somebody that's desperate, Max? Or have you ever seen an animal that's hurt?
Yeah,
that's been in a fight,
backed into a corner.
Yeah, they become vicious. I mean, they fight like their life depends on it, and that's nature.
Because it does. Because
it does. Right? I mean, you will do everything it takes to survive. And if Madison's ready to come back, she could just add herself there. Cool.
I literally said, "Don't come between 3 and 4. People are dumb."
Amazon man.
No, there's a sprinkler that's broken, and then the guy couldn't speak English, and I'm like, listen, this is America, and I'm literally going to show about politics right now, and I'm going to lose my what.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you seen somebody back into a corner? They get vicious, Max, and they start slinging. And these are the kind of things that come out when you know they're hurting, right? Because they're going deep. And like, if they're willing to go, Steve, how far are they willing to go right now? Should we be worried about more than one candidate's life? Right? Because there's always been this fear that they try to assassinate Donald Trump. Right? If they can't get him in court, which they realize now they don't have him, right? We've said it before in the show. What's the last step the left has? It's either let him win or take him out. And be damned who we put up as our candidate. A candidate that nobody elects.
Trump and Epstein were both bidding against each other on this property in West Palm Beach. Trump was offering $41.35 million, and he was declared the highest bidder, and Epstein lost. That was the same month that Donald Trump called Epstein twice. Didn't leave a message, just said, "Hey, have him call me back." When you were off, Madyson, what I said is they're trying to take this, which was literally, this was after, I believe, after Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of his club for everything he was doing.
Yes.
And they're trying to say that this paper says important message. They're trying to actually count on people not being able to read. And they're saying that this was about massages.
Listen, I want to comment on this because I have personal experience with it, right? I was trafficked through the industry for a long time, and I have come across a lot of girls that came in contact with Trump. And every single time he asked them, "Do you need help? I will help you. I will get you out of here, and I will help you. I will," like, he was going to financially help them, not to do anything. They never took their clothes off. Like, he would go to parties. To me, I'm like, listen, I don't know if this, like, he ends up at party. Like, obviously the elite parties turn into some weird things, right? And so to me, I don't know. One girl, Michelle Hoover, she came out against Kenneth Copeland, who I've spoke about as well. And right, like, people were saying this about Trump a couple years ago, like, oh, he was with Epstein and whatever. And it's like, okay, no, he wasn't. Listen, if he was doing any of this, I guarantee you, I would have come across him when they had the, porn stars that were lined up, they had pretty girls and whatever. He would have been there doing that too. I never saw him for a decade. And then all the girls that did see him were like, no, he offered to help us. So this BS narrative that he, like, listen, it's kind of like, I don't want to bring this up because it's probably a really bad example, but I apologize in advance, Max. It's like saying, oh, well, we knew Joe Altman, and so we're just as bad as like, so we're saying that people should go kill judges and stuff, right? Like, it's kind of associating the two, even though we're nothing.
Guilt by association.
I didn't know how to, like.
There's a lot of other analogies you could have used, Madyson.
Well, this is the first thing that came to my mind, but but that's what I'm
You
saying.
you could have gone biblical. Sins of the father are not the sins of the
Well,
son. A lot of things
like,
you could have done.
People, I mean, biblical was too, but I listen. The thing is people try to associate, like we were talking about this earlier. They try to associate you, Max, with something because you stood in front of like a hot dog mobile.
Yeah.
And it's like you're just grasping at straws to make something that isn't true. And to me, the respect that I have for Trump because of what he's done in the anti-trafficking space and then talking to these women that have had experiences with him, it really is like, no, this man, whether he's sold out along the way or not, I couldn't tell you because we don't know anyone's heart, right? Or soul or mind. I don't think he has. I really don't. But I am not going to say that he ever had anything to do with Epstein in that sense because he didn't. Because these girls that I know personally were like, this man would have helped me get out and used his money to help me. He probably would have put them up like in houses, probably would have got them counseling. Like he was a good man back then. So I think it's BS. So that was I heard you guys kind of talking about it. I was trying to talk on the camera.
Yeah, I don't believe it. I don't think anyone can say that Donald Trump sold out because like if you look at all of the presidents and you look at their net worth after leaving office, going all the way back to Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump is the only one who got poorer as a result of being president. So if he's sold out, he's done a terrible job at selling out because he's been indicted 91 times and he's lost like $1 billion. Right. Yeah. So I'm going to say he didn't sell out.
If he had sold out, they wouldn't be trying him in court.
Yeah.
He'd be getting the Diddy treatment, right? Just disappear and never be seen again. Anybody seen Diddy? Anybody seen Diddy? Right.
Or his power bottom mega church pastor TD Jakes.
What? That's the answers, right? If he was on the inside,
to Madison's credit, you have been calling out these people for years, and I don't know if it's just you got lucky, but you're getting lucky a lot on your predictions for these people.
I didn't get lucky. I have receipts, and I don't.
I like to believe the best in people. I like to believe that people would not do this, but no, there's a lot of people doing really nasty stuff, and you've been calling them out for a while.
Listen, I wish that they weren't either. I mean, with politicians and celebrities and pastors, the really sad thing is kind of like you said, it's that power, and it's kind of like people that watch porn, right? They'll watch like regular porn and then they can't get off until they go like further until that's where they become the P3 deal because they can't, you know what I mean, get off in normal things. And so there's this like power grab. They have so much money, they don't know what to do with it. And frankly, I wish I didn't survive everything I did, but I am thankful right now that people are getting justice. And so when people accuse someone like Trump or other people that have not done that, I'm the first one to say, hey, listen, you can't just say that it like because you think it or because some random it was like that girl that said she was Trump's daughter and she was like trying to get a DNA and I'm like, you're not Trump's daughter. Like, listen, if you really were, the media would take this and run with it like in their mouths so quickly. There's no way you're her daughter. So it's like just the lies of it, you know what I mean? So
well, Madison, we're out of time. I know you've got to run, I've got to run. Everyone knows today's Minions Day. Minions movies out today. So if you've got kids and they aren't already dragging you to the movies, expect it. They will be shortly.
I didn't even know it was a thing to take all of your kids to Minions.
It's a thing. It's Minions Day.
I saw it came out. I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder if it'll make money. It sounds like it's about to make a bunch.
It's because it has gone woke. That's why.
That's the nice thing. You can take your kids there and knock on wood. They don't inject the wokeness into it. And so it's nice that you can actually have, I don't know if I could call it wholesome because they have like bombs and guns and things like that. But compared to everything else, it certainly is. So Madison, where can people find you? Where can people get more of your content? Where can people follow
everywhere. You? And so I did, Max told me to set up, what is that thing called?
TikTok.
A TikTok. I just set it up. So I need to
so cool.
Saying my age right now, so you can go, but I haven't done anything yet on it, and so yeah,
there's nothing to find. All right, well,
Just look for my name. It's
Okay.
Madyson Marquette or Real Madyson Marquette. Same with Twitter, Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, Telegram, all the fun stuff. So just
Awesome.
my name is spelled weird, so just look it up and then Google me at your own risk.
Listen, that's true for me too. You Google me and the New York Times comes up with me in the Joe Altman article. So
I always
we
send
all
Max
got
articles.
positions.
I'm like, did you see this article about you? He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. I want you two to come on mine because you guys are so fun. I think it'd be a
We
good
will.
show.
We definitely will.
All right. I'll talk to you guys later.
See you later. Well, that's it for this edition of the podcast.
Their sense of humor.
Yeah.
Jokes that just are like, wow.
Yeah, no, and they hit. And they hit. They always hit.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this edition of the podcast. If you like the podcast, subscribe, like, comment, share. We're on Rumble. We're on YouTube. We go live on Twitter. Follow us, subscribe to us, comment, give us a thumbs up. Also, we have the audio edition of the podcast, which is available pretty much everywhere audio podcasts are. I got to adjust this little scroller because Google Podcast is actually no more. No more. So, but everywhere else still exists. So you can find us pretty much everywhere that actually has audio podcasts. We try and make this as audio friendly as possible so you can listen during your commutes. That's it for this edition of the podcast. Special thanks to Madyson. My name is Max McGuire.
I'm Josh Hammerling.
Remember, the fight to take back the country is not over yet, but the only way we win is if we all stand and fight together. See you next time.